right, today is day 34, 90-day video challenge. This is Phil Tingley. So, recent things that, let me get my phone a little bit straight. Yeah, it's good enough. So today, I think all I have to really say is, well, I've already rehearsed this a little bit in my mind already. Today I've just come to a realization that one thing that's really missing in my life is prayer. The last book I finished reading, Power of Your Subconscious Mind, from Dr. Joseph Murphy, who was also an ordained minister, created his own church. Many of his affirmations, mantras, whatever you want to call them, in his book, he referred to them as prayer. And so the next book I picked up is from Dr. Vincent Norman Peale, who also is spiritually inclined, who was a preacher. The Power of Positive Thinking. And I've gotten through the first 2.5 chapters now. About halfway through the third chapter. And almost everything he says comes down to prayer. And that just got me thinking that since coming to Entre, I know several people are spiritually inclined. Never had a problem with that. I've been there myself. I've been to many churches as a boy. My father, he had us go to Roman Catholic church when we lived in Craig, Colorado, and then when we moved to Vernal, the more convenient church there was the Mormon church. So, of course, he, being who he was at the time, he, immediately started putting us into the Mormon church. Not because of any particular principles that he had, but just to gain favor, because, he was trying to operate a business. And I ended up being baptized as a Mormon as a young boy. I actually attended the Mormon church for quite some time. I ended up living in Vernal, Utah for several years. Like half of 4th grade, 5th, 6th, half of 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, actually. Was I there? 9th grade? Yeah, 9th grade as well. Or at least through 8th grade. Maybe I left just before 9th grade. Yes, that was it. Sorry. That was correct. I left before attending 9th grade. So still, that was, a good number of years. And I think I continued going to the Mormon church at the time because it was kind of a place where I could bury that negative side of me that really came into fruition when I was in 7th grade. And at least for a little while, I could find relief. Push that side away for a while. And then after that, I went to live with my father again in Texas. His new soon bride-to-be and ended up being wife was Lutheran, so then we started going to Lutheran church, of course. Like I said, it was church of convenience for him. I don't think it was any real following or any specific reason why he would choose a church. It was just whatever was most convenient and most expedient to do. That was kind of short-lived because they weren't together for very long. And so then I wasn't in church for quite some time. Finished high school, went off for the military. I attended a couple of church, non-denominational type settings in the military, basic training, and once or two other times. It wasn't very often. And then, got out of the military, came to Vegas, and I kind of lost myself once again. Well, I'd always been lost anyway, but had my daughter with me, and I just needed her to see something better than just me. Because, of course, my own mindset was that I was not a good person anyway. I wasn't a worthy person. I wasn't a role model to look up to, that's for sure. So started going to a little Baptist church. And actually I'd gotten into it pretty well. I was kind of like the right-hand man to the pastor. Went there for a couple of years. It was a small church, like a little storefront. My daughter called it that it was a cult, but I wouldn't say it was a cult. It was just kind of a Southern Baptist style pastor, and he may have been not totally there. I think he believed a little bit too literally in the Bible. And from what I've been learning lately anyway, it's not everything has a literal meaning. There's a figurative meaning, there's a spiritual meaning, there's a metaphysical meaning even. And they can be applied, one verse can be applied to all of them. But so at one point I was even allowed to even write my own sermon one time, which ended up being the last time. And at the time, I don't know why I had chosen it, but it was on forgiveness. Now that I look back, I know why. I was desperately seeking forgiveness of myself, to forgive myself. And, the pastor didn't quite agree. He believed in forgiveness, that God could forgive you, but he didn't really believe that we had the power in ourselves to forgive everything or to forgive anyone completely. And, that was kind of at the point where, I had been there. We had been there for like nearly 2 years, like I was saying. And, part of me was feeling pretty good. As Norman Vincent Peale would say, there's power in prayer and in the Bible itself. And maybe I was, slowly getting to that point where I was ready to be cleansed of the hatred I had of myself at the time, or that I had for, like 2 decades at that point. And writing that little sermon about forgiveness, I think was, kind of that cry of my inner self that had been trapped for all those years, saying that, you can be forgiven. But when I was basically admonished for it, that broke me and let me slither back into, the same repetitive pattern that I had already. That I wasn't any good, that, there was no forgiveness for me, that I wasn't worthy of anything. And so, it wasn't that long after that I had left the church, of course, because, hey, when you feel like there is no good in you, how can you be in a place where you're supposed to worship goodness and righteousness and feel good about yourself, right? So that was like, that was nearly 20 years ago. And I don't think I really ever prayed since then. Because I didn't find any, didn't seem to be any need for it, since when you don't find yourself worthwhile, then why try to ask for help and forgiveness from something that's greater than you, when you feel like a speck of sand that is never noticed anyway. So just going through these two books in a row, that's speaking about prayer and spirituality and everything so far. That is affecting me. Since coming to Entre, I think I've turned myself around. Of course, I'm not 100% all the way where I want or need or should be. Not should. No more should. Never should, right? Don't should on me. Where I could be. But I feel I'm at least over, excuse my voice, still very stuck with crap in there. More than halfway, at least over the 50% mark. My mentality, my emotional side, even my physical side. But my spiritual side has been lacking. So that's something I need to work on next. Start working on that. And I think once I start incorporating that, because there's, every time you know what you want to do, you want to be at a certain level, and not just for selfish reasons, but it seems like there's something missing, and I'm hoping that this is the part that is missing. And so hopefully once I start getting attuned to this, dang my voice, in tune and attuned to spirituality again, then hopefully that is the missing block to put everything in place and get everything rolling towards the future that I want. So thank you all, and everyone keep feeling tingly, and have a great evening or great day, whatever time you listen to this. Bye-bye.